Hello, Steve. Nice to see you again.
Nice
It's
to
been
see
a
you,
year.
Dr. Tsipouridis.
It's been a year since last we spoke about wind, about everything.
In Ankara.
In Ankara, it was actually. You remember well, yeah. And probably we'll meet next month as well. I don't know if you'll be there. There's still. I think they have this meeting again next
I don't
month.
think I'm. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I won't. I'll be up in South Africa, unfortunately.
So, how's the world doing on wind?
Mostly pretty good. It's never easy. You know, in the established OECD markets, wind is now the most competitive form of new generation, except in some really, really sunny places without much wind, and then it's solar. But the difficulty is with the lack of demand growth, that the problem, like here in Germany, where renewables is up to almost 40% of the electricity supply now, is that, but their emissions aren't going down because they got to shut down these bloody old coal plants,
Yeah.
which the UK has done quite extraordinarily, and not, I think, due to a particular plan. But I mean, that started back with Mrs. Thatcher and her fights with the miners.
Amazing,
and
yes.
the coal industry, and now it's come home to roost in a very positive way.
Yeah.
And that the UK was able to ramp up wind and other renewables, but also to get rid of coal quite quickly once the economics put it in place without a lot of political opposition. But that's the political opposition to shutting down the coal is an issue here in Germany, of course. It's an issue in China. It's an issue in South Africa.
Even in small Greece.
Sorry?
Even in small Greece.
Yeah. Oh, and in Greece as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I remember hearing from our friend Dr. Servos when he was running BBC about the trials he had. Same in Spain. You know, when the economy was cratering, and the one big success they had was the renewable energy business. They couldn't shut down these crappy old coal plants to give a lifeline to the companies, the Spanish companies. Fortunately, most of them were able to stay afloat working outside of Spain, and now the Spanish market is coming back finally, which is great. And France is picking up a bit, which is good because Germany is going to slow down. And UK onshore now is, I don't know if they've probably still got a few more projects to build, and there's noises that it might get revived. Anyway, so it's complex. I mean, big markets in Brazil carrying on under difficult circumstances. Argentina booming. It's about the only thing in the country that is booming at the moment because the currency's going down the toilet. I saw they just got another $57 billion from the IMF, so we'll see how that goes. China, I think, has now signaled that they're moving away from the feed-in tariff towards a tendering system, which will be rolled out over the next 12 to 18 months, which, of course, has meant that there's a building boom now to get in as much under the old feed-in tariff scheme as is possible. Similar phenomena in the United States, where there's a lot of construction going on in light of the phase-out of the PTC.
What about the fears of the running out of the...
Pardon?
The fears in the USA of the end of the PTCs?
I don't think it's the fear so much, but I mean, if you can get free money, you should get it. And if it means moving your project ahead 6 months to get a little bit more, then of course you're going to do that. I think that's what's happening, and that's what we see now actually with the first big offshore wind project in the U.S., the Vineyard Wind off of Massachusetts. They will be making use of some of the tax equity that they build up with their other projects. This is Iberdrola, or Avangrid as it's known in the U.S. So, I mean, and there are new markets popping up, but there's always struggles, and there's, curtailment in China is down below 10% for the first time in 5 years. But we would like to get it below 5%, and get it down to almost zero. So,
the question is it enough?
Is it enough for what? It's enough for
the climate targets.
Not even close to
Exactly.
the climate. Although it would be an awful lot closer if there was a commitment to shutting down the coal plants. And okay, I'll back up a little bit. I mean, if I'm talking in the climate context, then as I've been saying ever since the Paris Agreement was adopted, not quite 3 years ago, it seems longer than that, anybody who makes a decision to build a fossil fuel power plant today is A, investing in a stranded asset, or B, doesn't believe what they just signed, or has a design lifetime of less than 30 years, or less than 25 years, simply because in any scenario which gets us anywhere near the 2-degree target, never mind 1.5, we need a zero emissions power sector before 2050, or if we're talking closer to 1.5, well before 2050. And we need to electrify as much of the economy as possible with cheap wind and solar. And we have some issues to sort out still. Steel manufacture, process emissions associated with steel, the heat and the furnaces, we can do that with electricity. But coking coal, replacing coking coal in steel manufacture, we have the technology, we just don't have the incentives or the money to do it. And same with cement manufacture. We can make cement without releasing all those emissions from the high temperature processing of calcium carbonate. Had the head of Holcim, the biggest cement company in the world, a couple of years ago saying, yes, of course we can do it, but we have no incentive. We have to give them an incentive. Then there's ships and planes. And, the extraordinary explosion in e-mobility, driven again by the Chinese, and crazy South African operating in California, Mr. Musk, I think has changed everybody's minds about that subject so quickly. And, he's rolling out his semi-tractor trailer, and there's various others, and Chinese buses are, they're introducing something like 10,000 a month electric buses in China, and the one-wheelers and all the rest of it. So I'm quite confident that the growth of taking over the EV market, taking over the private mobility market with electric vehicles and public transport, that's well on its way. And there's the appearance of electric ferries and river barges in China and in Norway and elsewhere. That's encouraging. Maybe we should get some electric ferries in Greece, powered by the lovely wind, the lovely Greek wind and sun. And the Norwegians as well, working on the short-haul aircraft, and they have some to have a very large percentage of their short-haul domestic flights electrified in the not-too-distant future, which is going to take a few technological leaps, but I don't think we're going to be flying across the Atlantic in a battery-operated Airbus anytime soon, or shipping cargo around the world in a wind-powered supertanker. So we need, with existing technology. I mean, of course we can. We've shipped goods around the world for thousands of years before we ever had any diesel. But I'm not sure that a modern economy is going to run on the rate of people following the old sailing trades, although that can help. And you may remember when the oil prices were really high at the end of the 70s, that there was actually a fairly substantial business in retrofitting ships with sail assist technology. That's come back a little bit, especially 4 or 5 years ago when oil was over $100 a barrel. Haven't heard much in the last couple of years with oil back down around 50 or 60. So, but then again, for the propulsion, I think there's a very exciting opportunity, not in hydrogen. I mean,
you don't believe in hydrogen?
It's not that I don't believe in hydrogen, it makes the sun. Fusing hydrogen atoms is what makes the sun, and I believe in the sun, it's wonderful, which makes the wind and everything else. But hydrogen as a gas is expensive to create, it's very difficult to store, it's almost impossible to transport, and with a little tweaking, we can add a bit of nitrogen to that, make ammonia, and we have a gas that is the second most handled gas by industry. And you can use it for fuel, you can use it for energy storage, you can use it for a combination of the two. So I think there's a big future in talking about ammonia
Yeah.
as an energy carrier to replace fossils.
I think what you've been saying is that there are technological solutions for everything, but they say when the market is going to pick up. And I think the answer to my original question, are we going to do it in time, is still no.
Well,
And if I
unless
add,
unless there is a political intervention, policy intervention of some sort, we are not going to do it in time purely on the economics, simply because driving down emissions. Michael Liebreich, you've heard him the other day, he believes that the market will actually identify emissions as a form of inefficiency which should be eliminated. And I think that's already happening to a certain extent, but it needs to happen. The time frames are just, we don't have time. That's the trouble.
so the only way to do that quickly is a political intervention, as you say. And how do you comment on the Chinese effort to cut down coal plants in China and build brand new coal plants in Kenya with imported coal from South Africa? I mean, does anybody tell them anything on that? I mean,
I don't think they need to be told. They know. It's the difference between
it's
long-term planning and short-term.
do they shut their eyes to things like that? I mean,
Sorry?
Do they shut their eyes to things like that? I mean, it's unacceptable that they can do that.
Well, I mean, they're not the only ones, but
I know they're not there. It's just one of the worst examples. And it's a protected area and everything.
I don't know about this particular coal plant in Kenya, but it doesn't surprise me.
What about Africa? What do you see Africa in all this? Renewables in Africa. The energy hungry. They're not energy poor. They don't have any energy at all. They're energy less.
Well, I mean, Africa is a very big place and a very diverse place. I mean, I spend a lot of time in South Africa, which should be the incubator for this industry, and it's moving ahead. They had a political problem for a couple, 3 years with old Mr. Zuma. He's gone. Things are moving again. We had a very dynamic market developing in Ethiopia. Now it's stopped because of the political unrest there. I just read that finally Lake Turkana electrons are flowing.
Oh, are they or they're about to?
No, well,
I think it's a matter of days. Or you read it this morning? That's okay.
Yeah. It's electrons are flowing, and there's lots of more opportunities there.
Good.
There's financing now for our first project in Tanzania. There's stirrings on the west coast, Senegal. There's a commercial project that's actually under construction. Ghana was moving ahead very quickly, then change of government, and it all stopped, and they're starting again. Morocco, of course, we know they can build as much wind as they want. They have enough wind to power all of Europe many times over. And the other one is Egypt. But of course, everything in Egypt is stalled at the moment for political reasons. So the opportunities are huge. The need is great. Politics get in the way at the moment. We need to try and help fix the politics so they move it along.
We stay below 1.5. Are you optimistic still?
About staying below 1.5? No. About staying below 2? Yes.
Okay.
I have to be.
That's something. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, sir. All right.